Welcome to Crushing Kayfabe. My name is Jason Garish. Whole lot going on as usual. Apologize for the lack of a show last week as I adjust the mic and try to get things going here. I took a little vacation, much needed, but we're back and all is well. Let's see. Not a whole lot going on in WWE as we kind of gear up for SummerSlam. I know kind of prolong the Bloodline storyline, which is good, but last segment with Jay was okay. I really didn't think it was anything great. It just kind of kept the momentum going, kept people interested, and kind of reminded people what's going on, but really didn't really didn't ignite any passion in me for the show, but it was good. It served its purpose, and not everything can be 5 stars, and but it served its purpose and kept the storyline going, which is good. So aside from that, we've got like I said, a whole lot of nothing kind of going on as we kind of slide into SummerSlam, which should be a good show. We'll see that confrontation between Jay and Roman Reigns, which is going to be good. When we had that confrontation between Jay and Solo and Paul Heyman, so like I said, it kept the momentum going, it kept things going, propelled, and excuse me, kept it going. Other than that, like I said, not a whole lot that kind of did a whole lot for me in WWE. AEW, on the other hand, some interesting stuff going on. Once again, Collision was a pretty darn good show, except for the technical issues that they had during the broadcast, and that was primarily during the Battle for the Belts. Excuse me, segment, which kind of was the add-on to Collision, which was taped in Calgary. Wow, if I could speak English, that'd be awesome. Calgary. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, when the Stampede was going on. So big deal there. Which is pretty cool. Paying an homage to Owen Hart's origins there, and I thought that was pretty classy. That was a pretty good deal. We had great match between FTR and Bullet Club Gold. Really good match. What can I say? I mean, that thing went well over an hour, and a lot of kind of eagle-eyed fans noticed, obviously, that David Benoit was front and center on hard camera, right in the front row there. Not quite center, but he was highly visible during the broadcast, and I thought it was kind of odd that the broadcasters didn't mention on anything pertaining to that. I don't know if they were told not to, or if maybe they were just ignorant of who he was, which is crazy. But obviously the whole Chris Benoit tragedy is still something that's very fresh in a lot of people's mind, and I missed area of shade there. I shouldn't be showing that on camera, but I have to go back over that. It feels like a Brillo pad right there. But yeah, obviously the whole sad Chris Benoit situation is still very much in a lot of people's mind, and I haven't showed. I showed that to my wife. I pointed him out, and she was like, "Wow, that was because I watched the Dark Side of the Ring episode with her, and I explained kind of my own experience with the Benoit situation, because I was a big Chris Benoit fan, and that was very shocking to me, very wild time. Obviously we had Eddie's death, and then the whole tragedy with Chris, and the way that all went down. And I've talked about this in previous episodes. I don't want to rehash too much, but I pretty much found out about the death by going to the Wikipedia page, and then it was moments after that the story broke. I don't know why I was compelled to look at Chris Benoit's Wikipedia page, but there was something that broke on there a little prematurely, which was kind of odd, and nobody really talks about that. I've heard a couple of podcasters talk about that, but really, really weird situation. Don't know who knew what or what was going on, and obviously we had the Raw afterwards, which was a tribute show to Chris, and obviously they didn't know all the facts that had come out at that point in time, or I should say had not come out at that point in time, but they weren't aware of the whole situation, and wow, sorry, just thinking about it right now, it's just weird. Because I remember watching that episode live and all the emotions, and then finding out what really happened was like a sucker punch to the gut. I can only imagine what it felt like to people who are close in that situation. So, like I said, even my wife was like, "Wow, why do you have to show me that? That's crazy." But yeah, and it's scary. I saw pictures side by side with David and Chris. Just two pictures side by side, and it's quite alarming how stark their appearances, how similar they are. Really, really kind of that poor guy has to go through life with pretty much with like his father's face on. I made the joke to a poor taste joke to my wife. Said if he was on steroids, he would look just like his father. Which if he was more jacked, he would look a lot like his father. I don't know. Is he still continuing a wrestling career? I haven't heard anything about that recently. So if anybody can comment down below if they know if he's in a federation or what's going on, I'd appreciate it. But really, really sobering to see that front and center at Calgary. Really weird. But other than that, like I said, tremendous match. And I'm of the opinion that FTR could get a match out of almost anybody. They're that good. They're really good. They really are. And the tribute trunks they had on, excellent. Great touch. And I love little details like that. A lot of the wrestlers paid homage to Owen and to the Hart family. And that was really cool to see. Really cool to see. Really, really fun show, I think. Aside from, like I said, technical glitches, which I don't even know who won the women's TBS belt at this point. I've looked online. I don't know if anybody does at this point. They haven't made any formal announcements I'm aware of at AEW site or Twitter or whatnot. So I don't know what happened there because that just mysteriously cut out. And it was weird because I watched this show. I watched part of it this morning and I watched part of it last night. Unfortunately, I was interrupted partway into it. I had to attend to something. So I didn't know, rewatching it today, I watched that part where the technical glitch occurred. Initially, I was watching that portion of it on my computer here, and I didn't know if something happened to the internet. I didn't know if something happened, as far as my computer-wise. I mean, I run Linux on this machine, so sometimes some of the drivers can be a little off or weird, and so you notice little glitchy things every now and then. But even with Windows, I shouldn't say that's a thing for just for Linux, but the companies that make these things unfortunately gear much more of the attention towards Windows drivers and Windows because that's who the majority of the population has, or what they have, I should say, which is changing now that tablets and phones are becoming so much more popular. But yeah, that I was wondering if that was glitching. I found out later on online that no, that was a technical glitch that happened during the show. I apparently did the satellites go out or whatnot. We'll probably find out more about that today, but yeah, weird stuff going on, and I have a podcast. I know all about technical glitches. I've worked in television. I've done directing. I've done production. I've done camera work. I've done directing. I said directing already. I'm sorry. 10-second Tom. I've done audio, so I know all, and I've done live performances, so I know all about technical glitches. So yeah. WWE and AEW are not immune to them, unfortunately. But which is a shame because up until that point, I mean, a lot of the show was genuinely really good. Man, I'm worse than usual today. Sorry about that. So yeah, that was like I said, enjoyable show. Great way to start things off with that tremendous tag team match. Then moving on, in no particular order, we had Willow Nightingale win the Owen Hart Cup on the women's side. You know, good match between her and Ruby Soho. I really think she's a really good baby face. I think she's one of the best women's baby faces in the world at this point. I really do. I mean, is she a great technical wrestler? She's a good worker. I mean, she's not tremendous, but she's a good worker. And man, she is incredibly charismatic and has a personality for days. So that's probably a good choice. You know, and she's obviously making waves over in Japan. You know, taking the belt off of Sasha Banks or whatever the heck she's called now. Monet Mercedes. Is that her name? Dear Lord. Whatever the heck Sasha calls herself these days, which is absolutely horrible. But yeah, I think she's a good talent. I really do. I mean, is she one of the best out there? But she's a good talent, and people are invested in her. People enjoy seeing her out in the ring, and once again, she has tons and tons of charisma. So it's a welcome change to see a true baby face in the women's division like that, and I welcome it. That was probably a pretty good choice. You know, with Ricky Starks beating CM Punk to win the men's. I don't know how I feel about this right now. We had CM Punk obviously invisibly going in as a heel, which I wasn't sure how he'd do things and approach that match, because excuse me, I thought he was going to be the heel of the match. I really did. But then we had some interesting kind of turnabout when Starks turned heel himself and did some real heelish things. So we kind of had, I don't want to say double turn, but you know, Punk reinforced kind of his heel stuff, and then but he also did some very babyface things. So and we'll get to that in a minute. You know, Starks held the ropes to help with the pin, to assist with the pin, and then you know, legend Jushin Liger comes out, and he just kind of grabs a belt and not the belt, I'm sorry, the trophy from him, and runs to the back there and kind of does his heel routine. So I guess Starks is a heel now. It was kind of weird booking. To be 100% honest with you, I didn't completely get it, and I'm sure they'll follow up, because that's one thing that Collision has done very well. You know, I like the way they format it in the beginning with the vignettes and the introductions, where they have they kind of get all of the backstage stuff out of the way at the very front and beginning of the show, and I kind of like that because it sets the tone for the entire show, and you can kind of think back to that, and it doesn't interrupt the flow of the action, but it still lets the wrestlers talk and set the stories up. So I kind of like that when Collision does that, and that's kind of different from a lot of the other shows out there right now. It's very different from what WWE is doing. It's almost like a old school NWA type feel, you know, almost like a studio wrestling approach, and I do like it. It kind of throws back to the past, I should say, and it especially since you're opening up with the Elton John song, you know, Saturday Night, So Right for Fighting. What the name of that is, I apologize, but it does kind of have a throwback feel to it, and that's kind of cool. That's kind of nice, you know, because I know, like, Punk And I'm convinced that this is very much his show. There are certain things, obviously, which have Tony Khan written all over him, and I'm wondering if this finish of that match was something that Tony Khan booked himself and said, "Hey, Punk, do this," or because it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me at the time. Because Ricky Starks, at least I thought, was very popular at this point. Why are we turning him heel and kind of doing this, especially when you had some heel heat on Punk at the time? So I'll be interested in seeing where this story goes. It sparked my interest. It really has. But yeah, and then getting back to the CM Punk thing, Punk obviously sits in the ring, does the thing where he's completely frustrated and his mind is blown by what just transpired. And he's looking at the ref going, what the hell happened? And he's pointing at the ropes, kind of thinking like he held the ropes. He held the ropes, and he's saying that. So when you kind of look at that, it's like, okay, is he a babyface? I don't know. We'll see, I guess, like I said, next week on Collision. Because none of these storylines cross over into Dynamite, or I don't know about Rampage, because I literally stopped watching Rampage. It just became unwatchable, and it was way too much content for me to follow. I had to stop watching Rampage. And to tell you the truth, I kind of get recaps online, and I see them in Dynamite. So Rampage has almost become a useless show to me. I mean, if they could integrate Rampage with Collision, that might be interesting for Saturday night. Take Rampage off the air, but networks right now in any media, social media, whatever, are just scrambling for content, even if it's not good or if it's not that highly viewed, I guess what you say. Because the ratings of both Rampage and Collision have not been good. Collision, if I'm not mistaken, I think last week they averaged around 500,000, around 500,000. That's not good. That's not good. When you're getting ratings that are comparable to NXT, that's cause for concern, And personally, I wonder if some of the reason why this was put on Saturday night, obviously it might have been TNT/TBS's choice, but it could also be, I wonder, maybe I'm just being a conspiracy guy, but it might be some meddling with the EVPs. Might be the Young Bucks involved in this. I don't know. Say, all right, you want your own show Saturday night. There you go. Screw you. Here you go, Punk. Here's a sinking ship. Write it. Which could very well be likely. I don't know. Or maybe I'm just a conspiracy guy. I don't know. And the fact that I'm such a big CM Punk fan could be clouding my judgment too. I don't know. It's hard for me to look at these things objectively because I do have vested interests. I'm a fan. Just like everyone else listening to this, I'm a fan. So it's hard for me to make an objective view of, the whole Collision thing, because I'm looking at this going, man, I'm so grateful to see CM Punk on the air again. But at the same time, things are not going well. Does TNT care? Of course they do. Of course Turner cares. They want ratings, but yeah. So he goes outside the ring after he obviously has his discussion with the referee, and of course he goes and hugs David Benoit. Once again, I think maybe I'm wrong, maybe I misheard it, but I could have sworn I heard Nigel McGuinness say something about a fan, which is really kind of disheartening if you don't acknowledge at least who this person is. That's really really disheartening. I didn't like that. I don't know if he was told to say that, or because I would think that he's more of a fan, or I should say student of the game, than that he wouldn't recognize him. I like I said, once again, I'm not sure. I don't know what the behind the scenes was on that, but it's kind of disheartening. But what else did we have at the Collision there. I'm trying to think. We had the House of Black fight some jobbers. One of these guys, it was a local team from Canada. A couple of guys. One of these guys sold like crazy. Man, I was watching him and I was impressed. You know, he didn't look good getting any type of offense in, but he wasn't supposed to. And man, did he look realistic selling. I was very impressed with that guy, and I don't know his name. I'll have to find out later. But once again, I just pretty much just got done watching this show. Man, did he did a great job selling. The other guy, not as much, not so much. He was a little over the top and kind of corny in his selling, but yeah, that was funny. I was thinking of these guys could tour as the sellers, you know, because like I said, the guy was great selling it. Just a tremendous job, or because I don't think the jobbers would go over well as a fan, but tremendous effort by him, man. I applaud him. That's a lost art in some ways. I mean, a lot of the AEW guys can review that footage and watch that match and learn some things from this jobber guy who I don't even know the name of, that's in Calgary. Jeez. You know, some of these, especially some of these smaller guys, really need to learn how to sell stuff. You know, I'm looking at you like Jungle Boy and those guys, you know. Really need to learn how to do that. But yeah, I was happy to see Malachi Black back on television. That was awesome. I'm glad he's back. Very happy about that. I mean, later on, Battle of the Belts, their counterpart, Julia Hart, was on there fighting a no-name jobber there kind of thing, who was better in the ring than Julia Hart, which was kind of sad. I have such mixed emotions on Julia Hart. I mean, I know like the Wrestling Soup guys have made comparisons of her to that girl that works at Hot Topics that is a poser and doesn't know what anything about anything kind of thing. You know, that she's got the Nirvana shirt on and doesn't know who Nirvana is. I kind of look at Julia Hart that way now. Now that it's almost, I can't unsee it. Now that he said that, you know, now that they said that, I forgot I don't know if that was Mish or who said that, but man, I can't unsee it now. I see her like that. It's too bad. But it's too bad that some of these women are putting her over in such a way. But she is so green, unfortunately. Man, I mean, she kind of had a good place in the in with Pillman, whatnot. What was that, Varsity Blondes? And that's another thing too. Apparently, Pillman's AEW contract has expired. There was a sighting of him in Florida at the WWE training facility. I hope they sign him. Man, I would love to see Pillman on NXT. That would make me so happy. There are a lot of things. I know JR came out publicly and spoke of Pillman, but there are some reports of attitude issues, behavior issues. I don't know. I'm not there. I don't know. If that's the case, that's horrible. It sucks, but I would love to see Pillman carry on. I did enjoy his in-ring work, and I maybe it's just my my throwback mentality. I liked Brian Pillman, his father, so I want to see his son do well too. But that might be it too. I don't know, but I hope he does. I hope he signs with NXT, and I hope they correct if there are any behavioral issues. I hope they correct that, and he corrects it soon. Unfortunately, man, I've got a lot more to say, but I'm coming up on like 4 minutes here, unfortunately. So I'm gonna start wrapping things up. August 12th, then and now. I'm gonna be performing there, so get down there on August 12th and enjoy. They're gonna be having their 2-year anniversary. So please come down, say hi, and that's in Trenton, Tennessee, right down the square. Let's see. So a big shout out to them now, obviously. We can, and when you do visit them, tell them Crushing Kayfabe sent you. Tell them I sent you. And you can pick up some of my CDs there, and you can pick up some really cool handmade merchandise that my wife has made. While you're at it, like I said, check out everything there and check out all the vendors. Check us out on crushingkayfabe.com, Crushing Kayfabe, crushing with a K. And check us out on Patreon, patreon.com. Become a patron for just $1 a month. You know, just for $1 a month, you keep the lights on. And if you notice in the background, I got one of my old lights back. I have the extension cord now for it, so so we got more lights. Hooray! But yeah, check us out. Definitely check us out on Patreon.com and do a search for Crushing Kayfabe, crushing with a K, Crushing Kayfabe, and keep the lights on for just $1 a month. I think that's a pretty good deal, and it'll make me happy. Everything, you know, as always, keep prayers coming for the Ukrainians, and you know, give to legitimate organizations that can help them, because they need it, obviously. But other than that, you know, I like to say, you know, everybody have a good week. You know, thank you for tuning in, and God bless everybody.